Chronic pain exists because the human body was clearly designed by someone who thought durability was an optional DLC. Every joint, every tendon, every tiny moving piece has the lifespan of a cheap knockoff toy from a discount bin. When you're a kid, you can fall off a bike, slam into a tree, bounce off the ground, and your body just shrugs it off like, nice try. Then somewhere around your mid-20s, you sleep slightly wrong on a perfectly normal pillow and your neck files for early retirement. Chronic pain is not some rare glitch. It is the default operating mode once the warranty period of youth expires. Cartilage wears away like eraser crumbs, nerves start sending overdramatic alarm signals for injuries that happened years ago, and muscles randomly lock up just to remind you they exist. Your lower back especially acts like a bitter old coworker who never lets anything go. Lift one moderately heavy grocery bag with bad posture, and your spine is like, cool, that is us done for the next 6 weeks. The brain does not help either. Instead of calmly regulating pain, it sometimes decides to amplify everything for no reason, turning a minor ache into a full-body existential crisis. Old injuries that should be quietly archived get replayed as greatest hits every time the weather changes. Other animals shake off wounds and keep moving. Humans twist slightly while picking up a sock and suddenly need heat packs, pain killers, stretching routines, ergonomic chairs, and 3 YouTube tutorials labeled "Fix Your Back in 10 Minutes" that absolutely do not fix your back. Snoring proves that whoever put together the human airway was either on a deadline or actively trying to be funny. The throat is this flimsy, collapsible tube lined with loose, wobbly tissue with a tongue that behaves like a drunk roommate, constantly falling into the doorway. When you fall asleep, every soft part in your mouth decides to slump backward right onto your airflow. Instead of a clean, quiet breathing pipe, you get a vibrating meat tunnel. Air squeezes through that half-blocked space and makes everything rattle. That is what snoring is, your body playing a disgusting wind instrument inside your own face. The sound can get so loud it not only ruins the night for everyone around you, but can literally wake you up. That means your design is so bad, you are interrupting yourself with the sound of your own defective plumbing. If the airway narrows a bit more, you unlock the deluxe feature sleep apnea, where your airflow stops, your oxygen drops, and your brain slaps you awake. Like, hey, breathe, you absolute clown. Other animals manage to sleep and breathe at the same time without turning into motorbikes with loose exhaust pipes. But because humans needed a throat that can handle speech singing and one more slice of pizza, the price we pay is half the population sounding like malfunctioning lawnmowers at night. Romantic, really. The legendary wrong pipe moment is another iconic human design fail. Food and air use the same entrance like a 4-lane highway that suddenly merges into a single sketchy toll booth operated by a half-asleep attendant. You inhale through your trachea, you swallow down your esophagus, and separating those two crucial jobs is the epiglottis, a tiny flap of tissue smaller than common sense that has to close at exactly the right moment every time you eat, drink, talk, or laugh. When it works, you do not notice it. When it does not, you are instantly transported into a near-death experience over a sip of water. One slightly mistimed swallow while you are laughing at a joke, and suddenly your body goes full alarm mode. You cough violently, your eyes water, your entire throat burns, and everyone around you just stares like, do we help or is this part of it? Humans are so badly designed in this area that we can choke on our own saliva while doing literally nothing. Other species do not have this level of chaos. Many animals keep their air and food pathways more separate or have more reliable structures to protect the airway. Meanwhile, humans out here taking a sip from a normal glass of water and immediately reenacting a Victorian child dying of consumption in front of their confused friends. This is not an advanced organism. This is a biological Rube Goldberg machine that sometimes sends liquid directly into the lungs for drama. Weak ligaments are evolution's way of saying you can either be flexible or stable, but definitely not both. Ligaments are the fibrous bands that connect bones together and supposedly keep joints from flying apart. In theory, they should act like strong straps. In humans, they behave more like overused rubber bands that snap whenever life gets mildly athletic. Turn too fast while playing a casual game, enjoy your torn ACL. Step off a curb without paying attention, congratulations, that is a sprained ankle. Your knee can go from working fine to medical crisis in the time it takes you to change direction slightly. The surrounding muscles might be powerful, the bones might be solid, but those connecting tissues were clearly downgraded somewhere along the way. You push them a few millimeters past their comfort zone, and they respond by ripping, then sulking forever. Once a ligament tears, it does not grow back like new. The body patches it with scar tissue, which is functional in the same way duct tape is structural reinforcement. The joint never quite feels the same again. Meanwhile, look at wild animals. They run, leap, twist, and pivot constantly without shredding something every second day. Humans, on the other hand, can injure their knee getting out of a low car seat. There are houseplants with more reliable support systems. Blind spots in human vision exist because the eye's wiring was installed from the wrong side. The retina, which senses light, is lined with photoreceptor cells that should logically face incoming light with no interruptions. Instead, human eyes were built like someone sticking cables through the front of a screen. The optic nerve leaves the eye through a hole in the retina, and that hole is an area where you literally cannot see anything. That is your blind spot, a permanent zone of zero information. The only reason you do not notice this disaster constantly is because your brain does visual improv. It fills in the gap by copying and pasting nearby information, guessing what should be there. So part of what you see at any moment is not real sensory input. It is your brain's best guess painted over a built-in dead zone. It works most of the time right up until you are driving and a whole car hides comfortably in that missing patch beside you. Plenty of animals have better setups. Some species have differently arranged retinas that avoid this wiring hole, entirely giving them more continuous vision. Humans, meanwhile, need mirrors, camera systems, and warning labels to avoid crashes caused by an anatomical bug that was never patched. Your eyes are sold as these amazing high-resolution biological cameras, but they come with blind spots, blurry peripheral resolution, aging lenses, and a wiring layout that would get any engineer fired. Difficult birth is arguably the most savage design oversight in the whole human body. Start with the fact that humans walk upright. That requires a pelvis that tilts and narrows to support body weight and balance efficiently. Then add in the fact that human babies have enormous heads packed with big brains. Now try to push that oversized head through that narrowed exit. It is less graceful natural process and more trying to pass a bowling ball through a ring made for keys. In many mammals, birth is quick and relatively low drama. The pelvis is wide, the baby's proportions are less extreme, and the whole thing is over fast. In humans, labor can drag on for many exhausting hours. Pain is intense because nerves and tissues are being stretched to their absolute limit. Historically, countless people died during childbirth because this system is so badly optimized that human societies had to invent obstetric surgery and entire medical specializations just to survive their own reproductive design. No other species needed this much backup just to continue existing. Humans basically unlocked big brain DLC and paid for it with one of the most dangerous birth processes in the animal kingdom. Back pain is the long-term invoice for switching from four-legged to two-legged without upgrading the hardware properly. The original vertebrate spine was meant to be horizontal, supported evenly along its length like a bridge. Evolution then yanked humans upright, tilted everything, and said, yeah, that will probably be fine. It is not fine. The spine now has to balance the entire upper body in a vertical stack while still allowing bending, twisting, and shock absorption. That is like building a skyscraper out of flexible springs. The result is an S-shaped column of vertebrae with soft discs sandwiched in between. Those discs compress under load bulge under strain and can herniate if you so much as lift a heavy box at a weird angle. Muscles around the spine struggle constantly to keep you upright against gravity, especially when you sit in terrible chairs staring at screens for hours. Sit too long and your lower back seizes up. Stand too long and it throbs. Lie down wrong and you wake up feeling like you fell down a staircase in your sleep. Contrast that with many four-legged animals where the spine acts more like a supported beam than a swaying tower. Their weight is distributed across multiple limbs and angles, so the stress is far less ridiculous. Cancer is the final boss of human design failures. The body runs on cells that constantly divide, repair, and replace old tissue using instructions stored in DNA. This process is crucial. Without it, you would fall apart. But the system runs with almost no real-time error checking. Every time a cell copies its DNA, there is a chance of a typo. Most of the time, built-in repair systems catch and fix the problems. Sometimes they do not, and occasionally the mistake creates a cell that refuses to follow the rules. These rebel cells ignore signals that say stop dividing, bypass built-in suicide programs, and start multiplying like they have discovered free real estate. They hijack normal processes, attract blood vessels to feed their growth, and can eventually invade other tissues entirely. That is what cancer is: your own cells going rogue and turning parts of your body into an expanding, malfunctioning mess. It is not one single condition. It is a whole chaotic family of failures produced by the same core flaw in the system. The immune system is supposed to act like security spotting and destroying abnormal cells. But cancer cells often disguise themselves hiding behind normal-looking markers so they slip past detection.